Pokemon redesigns can be very challenging. I've been doing redesigns of some form or another since 2016 when Infinipede and I started doing the new 151. So I've experienced the whole range of redesigns. I've done many where I'm really happy with the result, from relatively simple ones like Psyduck or Meganium or Magnemite, Hawlucha, to ones that are almost complete redesigns like Diglett or Marowak or Arceus or Dusclops, probably my favorite redesign that I've done. But those were all redesigns where I had a solid idea going in. The vision of what they should look like in the end came to me fairly easily and pretty early on in the process, which meant that I had the opportunity to work out any kinks. And where the initial idea actually worked out visually when I started putting it to paper. But that's not always how it goes. Often I go into a redesign with only a very rough or vague idea, or the idea that I have doesn't really work out, so I have to come up with something else, or even when the idea is pretty solid, the execution itself can take a lot of work. Butterfree for the new 151 was one that we wanted to completely scrap the original design, but still find a way to make it look like Butterfree, and I think that it's successful. It's the new 151's most popular redesign. There was the unknown, where I started the stream with one idea, but partway through, the chat came up with something else that was leagues better than what I had. It was a similar concept, but still meant that I had to start over, and now it's my favorite interpretation of the unknown concept that I've ever seen.
Oh, you're not wearing the shirt?
No.
That would have been good. You want to do a merch plug?
Sure.
Yeah, go grab your shirt. Let's do a costume change. Why not?
And you can buy this shirt on my Redbubble store, link in the description. Or even something simpler like sock and throw. I spent all month trying to come up with a concept for them. I failed, and Indigo basically had to come up with the entire idea for me.
You're welcome.
Thank you. But again, that's not always how it works. More often than not, if I find a redesign challenging, I'm not going to be all that happy with the result. Designs like Nidoking and Nidoqueen or Golem, where I'm actually quite happy with their earlier stages, but then just couldn't find a final stage that really worked for me. Or ones like Registeel or Rhyperior or Togekiss or Bruxish, where I felt like I never quite came up with the right idea, and so, of course, the end result wasn't really there for me either. And I feel like those have been happening more recently. If you've been here a while, you'll remember that when I started doing redesigns on YouTube, I let you guys pick which redesign to do next, but the options were from a pool of mons that I wanted to redesign. So the ideas were a little bit easier to come by. But once I ran out of my personal priority list of Pokemon to redesign, I started to leave the choice entirely up to the stream viewers. And I'm still really happy with some of those. Arceus is one that was selected by the stream viewers, and it's one of my favorites. But then there's ones like Inteleon, which we did earlier this year. Intellion's big flaw is that it's very humanoid in pretty much every aspect. It has very humanoid proportions, aside from being way too slender. It also has a stance and its movements in battle and its just general attitude that are straight up human. So I wanted to make it more animalistic and less thin and still try to keep the spy elements, but incorporate them a little bit better. We started by trying a bunch of different poses to get one that would be dynamic and convey the spy idea, but still look more like an animal. The hands are significantly less emphasized and don't have as many fingers. The one change that made it the most animalistic was the face, with eyes, mouth, and horns to make it explicitly chameleon-like. I also maintained the teardrop pattern from its previous stages and added a hair-like bit at the front to keep it tied to Drizzile. We tried a number of different ways to incorporate the spy clothing as a more natural part of the design, like merging it with the crests, and ultimately decided to make a tuxedo collar that is partly shed skin, similar to the collar that Serperior has. We also gave Intellion water droplets on its hand, wrist, and ankles to be what it shoots with Snipe Shot rather than conjuring water out of the tip of its finger. The one on the wrist also resembles a watch, and the ones on the ankles are meant to be spares, like how spies might carry concealed weapons on their legs. Same idea with the pattern on the inside of the thigh that represents a hidden dagger. And here's what we ended up with. I think it does fulfill the basic requirements of the redesign. It does look less humanoid, and while the spy elements are more obvious, I feel like they also fit more naturally with the design as a whole, and it feels like a more natural progression from Sobble and Drizzile. That said, I still think that it looks too human, and it isn't a wow redesign. It's okay, it's an improvement, but not a complete one. But the most recent redesign, outside of the new 151, because for that project we have a team, so the pressure for concepts isn't entirely on me, but the most recent redesign that I took on by myself, it almost broke me. I love Roly-Coly. It's a perfect living coal Pokemon design. It's really simple while still being unique. It manages to be really cute with its single uneven eye, and it evolves into my least favorite Pokemon of Generation 8. CARKOL sure has some personality, but the design throws out everything that I liked about Roly-Coly. It doesn't have the Ember Eye, it doesn't have the wheel, those are not round enough to be considered wheels. It looks more like something that carries coal rather than something that is made of coal, and I hate its face. Coalossal does redeem it a little bit with its classic Gen 1 kaiju look, but those roly-coly elements that I liked are still gone. So I wanted to redesign both of them in a way that would preserve those roly-coly elements, but also honor the original concepts for CARKOL and Coalossal. The minecart, the steam engine, the vague train elements. Because I dislike the originals so much though, I felt like I had to throw out the original designs entirely and instead bring in a unique and original approach that could tie the family together better. So I brainstormed, I asked some friends for ideas, we came up with a concept that I thought was serviceable. Basically, it would have some crab elements thrown in. I sketched out some ideas, and I hated it. The idea just didn't work on paper, and I got so stuck that I actually decided to skip doing a stream for that month for the first time in over 2 years. Again, not counting the new 151 streams. So that gave me an extra month. I brainstormed it some more, asked for some more ideas. We came up with a new concept that was very similar from before, but going at it from a different angle, sketched it out, and I still hated it. It was better, but it just didn't do Roly-Coly justice. My conclusion is that Roly-Coly is a perfect Pokemon that doesn't need to evolve. Give it some better stats and it can easily be something like a Pyukumuku or a Pincurchin. Small, round, cute, but still powerful enough to hold its own in battle. But I didn't want to cancel the stream again, so I went live without really knowing what I would do. I told the viewers about my struggle for ideas, and we decided to not just throw out CARKOL and Coalossal's designs, but their concepts as well, and essentially come up with completely new evolutions for Roly-Coly, even though it doesn't need them. I had some vague ideas for what those might be, but they evolved a lot during the stream, with tons of input from the viewers. The second stage is basically Roly-Coly Plus. It's got the same body and wheel, but the face has a different design, and it has arms that are shaped to look like the pumps for extracting crude oil. It will also get a pattern on the wheel that resembles an oil streak, and that's because although their bodies will keep the rocky coal look, we decided to give the family a progression that matches the development of energy technologies, starting with coal, moving up to petroleum, and ending up with nuclear energy. I will draw the final stage twice to show the two different stances that I thought up for it. The face carries the radioactivity symbol, the wheel on its chest is a more rugged, heavy-duty tire, and the body takes the shape of a nuclear reactor with steam coming out the top, as do the two exhaust pipes that stick out the back. On the arms, we now have grate-like cracks that show the intense energy that it carries inside. But those exhaust pipes are also legs that it can stand on when it's in a more defensive mode. And I think that was the idea that really sold me on these concepts. I call this reactor mode, and the stance on wheels is engine mode. When we played around with the colors for this stage, we decided to keep the fiery orange from its earlier stages, but we liked the nuclear green color a lot, and so I also came up with a set of shiny colors, with the green as the accent color and a lighter gray for the body to make it look more like concrete. I let the chat name these guys, so here are Carkoal from car, cart, coal, and oil, and Coalition from coal, collision, and fission, here in engine mode, and here with its shiny colors in reactor mode. I still think that Roly-Coly doesn't need to evolve, but I'm honestly super happy with how these turned out. I like the ideas, I like the progression of the family, and I love the nuclear reactor exhaust pipe legs on Coalition. Whenever I do redesigns, I try to honor the original concept for the Pokemon and just give it a new spin. Unless I think that the concept itself is part of the problem, but that's less frequent. Trying to keep the original concept can be pretty restrictive though, and so it was nice to be able to go outside of that box. So I decided to make a change to the monthly redesign stream. Namely, that it won't be a monthly redesign stream. I'll still do an art stream on the last Saturday of every month, but it'll be more open-ended rather than strictly a redesign stream. Could still be a redesign, but could also be some Fanmon, or Pokemon fusions, or just whatever I feel like that month, but always with input from you, the viewers. The first one of these open-ended art streams will happen tomorrow, assuming you watch this video the day it comes out. That's May 29th at noon Pacific time. And in case you're wondering, this change does not affect the new 151 redesign streams. Those will still happen usually on the second Saturday of every month, and with the participation of one or both of my collaborators, Infinipede and Banana Meteor. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope that you like Carkoal and Coalition, and I hope that you like Intellion too. Maybe you like it more than I did. You can let me know in the comments. Thank you to my patrons for supporting my work, especially luxury patron Ethan from Chicago. I'll see you in the next chapter.